is amazing. The lengths that the right will go to demonize trans people. And Glenn Beck twists himself in such an incredible pretzel here to justify what are we at now? 21 states that have either pursuing legislation or passed legislation to prevent parents and doctors from providing health care in a way that they perceive to be needed for their patients. And Glenn Beck basically wants you to believe, well, when doctors are allowed to make decisions with their patients directly, remember, it was, how many years are we removed from to allow the government to get between the doctor and the patient? How dare you? Well, now Glenn Beck is basically saying, it wasn't really the Nazis, it was the doctor Nazis.
What new evidence do we have that we should mutilate the bodies of children? Tell me the case. This, in a reasonable society, this would be debated a long time before it was ever even introduced. If it was introduced, it would get the people of the country to look at it and go, wait a minute.
Pause it. I just remember the 80s, the extended national debate on whether women and girls, frankly, could get breast augmentation or breast reduction. I remember that huge debate. Nose jobs.
Yeah.
Huge debate. National debate.
You're mutilating the face of a 16-year-old girl because she says that she wants, to get around.
We would have huge debates about it, national debate. I can't remember quite how it was resolved. But
and I also will say that the medical knowledge being settled about abortion did not stop Glenn Beck and other right-wingers from attacking that notion of care, which is kind of the same thing here that's happening in the gender-affirming care debate.
And of course, I also remember the great circumcision debates that was happening nationally for decades and decades, where we all decided that we were going to decide whether people get circumcised or not as a society. All right, but just continue here.
Was introduced, it would get the people of the country to look at it and go, wait a minute. Make your case. Show me the evidence. That's what's happening overseas. It's not happening here because they're shutting everybody up. Now, don't talk to me about book burners when you are doing everything you can to shout people down and make them afraid to speak. You won't even get to the books. You don't have to. You just get to all the authors. You just get to everybody who can write a book or even make a decent argument against it, and you frighten them. Here's why this is bothering me so much.
Pause it for 1 second. So in other words, what he's saying is it's impossible to hear any critique of trans people in newspapers like the New York Times, which of course has featured article after article after article, all opinion, incidentally, attacking trans people. Or let's say the highest rated cable news show in the country, the highest rated cable news network in the country, the highest trafficked on Facebook, on YouTube, on every single platform that exists, where you have renowned people attacking trans people. And like I said, almost 24 states where there has been explicit anti-trans legislation passed or in the process of being passed. That's how repressive our society has become to people who are attacking trans people. That's the point he's making. I just want to make that explicit.
Yeah. And we'll let him finish, but it is just amazing that he brings up book burning in this context.
A decent argument against it and you frighten them. Here's why this is bothering me so much. It wasn't the Nazis that were killing people, per se. It was the doctors that were Nazis that were killing people. Joseph Mengele, he was operating within...
I want to stop this and go back to when he starts to get into this, because this is something that literally should have this guy committed. Mm-hmm. Like, this is where somebody should step in and go, I'm going to need power of attorney. This is such an insane, ahistorical, dangerous rant. It is crazy. Mm-hmm. The idea that it was only Nazi doctors who killed 6 million Jews in concentration camps is... I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not qualified to make this, but I feel pretty confident. Insane.
Yep.
Is insane. But he's going to go full on about this and mention one doctor, Mengele, who would experiment on Jews because he perceived them as subhuman. As if it's just like, we just set up the concentration camp because we wanted to provide doctors' offices. This is insane.
And just to bring up the point about Nazis and book burning, in terms of the ahistorical nature of it, we have talked about how in Berlin there was a pioneering gender-affirming care clinic where Nazis literally went in, shut it down, and burned books. Burned the records that they had there for the surgeries that they were doing and trying out with some of the trans people in Germany at the time. So this literally happened, and it was targeting medical care. But this is an anti-intellectualism point from Glenn Beck, where they can go after doctors for abortion, Tiller the baby killer, doctors for trans affirming care, and then set up under the guise of a straw man that no one's dealt with these concepts before when doctors have been for decades.
And also, it dovetails nicely with their attack. I mean, their anti-COVID rhetoric.
Right, that too.
This is all part of attacking science has always been a primary objective of conservatives in attacking history, whether it's this garbage or the lost cause in terms of the Civil War was not fought about slavery. Mm-hmm. It was economics. All right, go.
It wasn't the Nazis that were killing people, per se. It was the doctors that were Nazis that were killing people. Joseph Mengele, he was operating within standard framework of ethics for doctors in Germany at the time. They believed things that just were not true. And so they would do whatever it is they wanted to do. The people that were, in his part of Auschwitz, they were terrified because they knew everything he did, it didn't matter. He didn't have to ask for any permission or anything. Whatever he did to them, he could do. If he just wanted to kill them just for fun, he could kill them. And all of this started out of compassion.
Okay. Yeah, we're in a state of shock. That's why it took us a second. Let's just take this in order. The idea that what Mengele did was in standard ethics of doctors in Germany. This is such a lack of understanding of the history of exactly what took place in Germany, but everything that was done, the genocide that was committed, the millions upon millions of people who were killed, was all legal. Was all there were laws that made it legal. The idea that it was standard ethics for doctors is just a bizarre sort of, I don't even know how to put it into context. Mengele was experimenting on people. The idea that people in his part of Auschwitz were afraid. I don't know if he should have put up images of people in Auschwitz. Starving, walking skeletons. Not just in Auschwitz, but Treblinka, in all of the concentration camps. The idea that, like, in this one part of Mengele's Auschwitz, people were afraid. This is just insane. Honestly, anybody working on that show, anybody standing within like 20 feet of this guy, the idea that they could just allow this to go, that he is going to twist the Holocaust into being a function of doctors who started out of compassion.
Yeah, that's the part that is...
This is insanity.
It's Holocaust denialism. That's what this is. I mean, you're pretending that you're pretending that this was like a twisting of the doctor's code of ethics, where they started from a place of compassion with the genocide. Well, I mean, that is not how this went down. This was a political movement, a right-wing fascist political movement that mobilized millions of people into committing genocide. That's what happened here.
It is. I just find that stunning that guy is able to have those words come out of his mouth. And there isn't anybody within his eyesight who's just not going like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, cut the mic. This is also like the other people who should be ashamed in this are anybody who a few years ago chose to be a part of laundering
Samantha Bee.
laundering like a reputational cleanup for Glenn Beck. That New York Times interview he did I think in the Times
New York Magazine,
where it was like Glenn Beck is sorry for all that.
Yeah.
Headline.
Oh my God.
Like if it wasn't as transparent that was just a fake campaign to get him to be a little bit more respectable, I think he feels pretty comfortable just going back to the well now. I think that served its purpose.
Yeah. Oh, and then but this is not going to stop here. They're not going to rest until a gender affirming care doctor is killed.
Without a doubt.